Hey guys, what's going on? So today we're going to be talking about holsters, and as you can see laid out, there are many different styles, options, materials, and different ways to carry with holsters. So it can be confusing when you're first starting out, or if you're an experienced guy but you're choosing to choose a different type of carry. If you've always been an outside the waistband guy but now you're looking at more inside the waistband, or you've always been a leather guy and now you want to go to Kydex, or you've always been a Kydex guy, you want to check out some leather holsters, or some are neither. Some are, what is this? So we're going to talk about it today. We're going to go into each different style, the benefits and the drawbacks of each one, and hopefully you learned a little bit of something from this. And if you have something you could teach me, go ahead and leave them in those comments, and we'll talk about it. All right, so let's check these things out. All right, so first up on our list are concealed carry holsters. Now, what are concealed carry holsters? So they are holsters that are meant to be concealed, sometimes called inside the waistband holsters, or just anything that puts it in an area where it's not open carry. You usually need a permit for this unless you live in a permitless / constitutional carry state. However, some of us have permits and others live in states where they just don't give them out at all. Now, this is an example of a very basic concealed carry in the waistband holster. So it's made of Kydex. It has a mid-rise sweat guard here, which all that means is it keeps that firearm off your body a little bit. And they usually have one single clip, or they may have a combination of two smaller clips, something like this here. So this is again a very basic version. This is Kydex, and what you want to look for is that it completely covers your trigger guard. It has good retention, and comfort is going to be very user specific. What's comfortable for me isn't going to be comfortable for you. And one thing I kind of just want to clarify right off the bat, there is no such thing as a best holster. There's what's best for you or comfortable to you. But for me to give you a suggestion and say, hey, buy this CYA Amazon holster, it's the best thing ever, it's going to work for you, that's lying. What works for me isn't going to work for you. So I bought this as a interim solution for my Ruger Max 9. It is clear, unloaded, no magazine. And I bought this while I was waiting for this other style to be made. So it clips in, has good retention, and it completely covers that trigger guard and my mag release. Nothing there can happen. So it's completely covered. And it is optics cut. So there's ones that are cut for optics, there's ones that aren't. So concealed carry holsters don't just have to hold your weapon securely, they need to help make it inconspicuous as possible. So you want them to be as streamlined as possible. You don't want to add a bunch of bulk. Now, that's a very simple, basic holster, kind of like, We the People holsters, CYA. They all kind of make just very basic carry holsters. So, like I said, while I was waiting for this one to be made, this was made by Border Town Holsters out of Yuma, Arizona. So this is something a little bit more complex because it gives you the ability to carry an extra magazine on you. So again, it's got that positive retention there. So this one doesn't cover the mag release, which I don't know, not really so big of a deal when you're deep concealing. This is an appendix rig, and you see how it's meant to flex right there. So it has that extra mag, which helps distribute the weight in the front end. And this will help contour to your body, especially when they have these, they're called the claw or a wing, just depending on manufacturer, they call them different things. But what that does is your belt catches here and it helps pull this in, which brings the grip closer to your body to aid in concealment. So that's what that flex is there for, to be able to contour to the front of your body there when you're appendix carrying. So this is a little bit more complex than, say, something like this. They're both Kydex front and back, so they both have that positive retention there. It's not going anywhere until you actually go to pull it out. And these usually come just the settings. All that means is these screws here help tighten and loosen the amount of friction that's placed upon the handgun when it's inserted in there. So if this is a little too stiff for you, you back off those screws a little bit and it'll be easier to draw. Or if it's a little too loose, you just tighten those screws up and it gives it a little bit more retention on there. Same thing for this extra mag, it does the same thing. So that's those two options for conceal carry. There's also this leather type material. Now, I'm not a fan of leather. I'm gonna go ahead and get that out of the way right now. I'm not a fan of leather conceal carry in the waistband holsters. This was another thing that I kind of just got as an interim solution for this, this Taurus here. This was never really meant to conceal carry. It's more of a range toy slash just gun to have laying around on the dresser, in a drawer, whatever. This is a G2C. So again, it's clear, no magazine. So it offers that, you know, there's some friction, there's some retention, but it is a looser, cheaper holster, and you know, you're gonna get what you pay for. This was like maybe $20 on Amazon. It kind of covers the mag release, but again, when you're conceal carrying either in the waistband or strong side, weak side, however you carry, it's not really a concern. No one's gonna reach into your waistband and press the mag release. It's more, I have more of a concern for that when I'm open carrying or, you know, have a duty holster or something like that, where I would worry about someone pressing that mag release and dropping my mag. But again, you know, it's okay. But again, leather, it is more comfortable. It contours to the body a little bit better. It has some give in it, so obviously it'll flex a little bit, whereas Kydex is, it is where it is and it's not moving. Leather will give and mold a little bit, but it will also make you sweat. You also have to take care of it more. And like this one, if you get a cheap leather, they can bend and curl over time. Now, I don't really carry with this, so obviously this one is fine and it's still maintained its shape. However, there are concerns where these can curl in and somehow get into that trigger guard and pull your trigger when you go to reholster your weapon. It could get in there and then boom, your trigger hits it and, you know, bad day. So it's a little harder when you have something with an external safety, but something like this Ruger Max 9 or a Glock, where there are no external safeties, and I'm a huge proprietor of carrying with a round in the chamber, which is another whole discussion. It could be a recipe for a bad day with these cheap leather holsters. So that's just another type of conceal carry. So we've gone over basic, you know, generic kind of Kydex holsters, appendix rigs with extra mag carriers, and we've gone over this this leather. However, it is a cheaper leather with a cheaper hook, but it does offer pretty good retention. I have carried with it, and it was fine, it was comfortable. I would just have concerns long-term with this cheap leather, maintaining the condition of it and making sure that it didn't curl and start to disform and possibly cause an issue. So we've gone over 3 types. What else do we have? Well, we have a combination. So you have leather, you have Kydex, and then what's this? So it's kind of soft, kind of hard. So this is a hybrid holster. This is an Alien Gear. I think this is part of the Shapeshifter series. Have this for my Springfield. So what this does is this shell here can morph to different platforms. So this is an appendix rig here, this backing, and all it is just a softer neoprene type material to make it a little bit more comfortable, conforms to the body a little bit. What I don't like is there's, you know, where the Kydex holster has positive coverage front and back. As long as this is against your body, you're good, but who knows if something crazy were to happen and something gets back behind here, then it's left open and your trigger is exposed. So not, well, I guess your trigger's not exposed because this guard is here, but if something were to get in here, that's not really a stretch to say that it could fall down into here. Odds of that happening, probably 1 in 959,000. I don't know. That was a made up number, but the point is it could happen. Whereas with this, nothing's getting in there because it's completely covered front and back. So, however, some people really like these, and I'm not going to talk bad about it. Alien gear, you either love them or hate them, or you fall somewhere in between. I fall somewhere in between. I could throw this away or keep it. It really doesn't make a difference to me. I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it. So there's that. The reason these are kind of popular is because, like I said, this is just a shell. So this shell can be moved to different platforms. So this is the appendix carry platform. There's also another inside the waistband concealed carry platform. It's a little larger, which is meant for a strong side. You can appendix carry with it, but it's a little bit bigger and kind of bulky in your front. It's more for a strong side carry. It's a little wider here. It goes out to maybe here. But yeah, versus paying $100 each time. Once you spend, you know, the $100 some, whatever the Shapeshifter series cost, and it's like $40 for each additional like platform that it can mount to. So it kind of has some benefits, but there's some drawbacks. What else do we have? Then we have something a little bit more complex. So this is also another concealed carry, but you see that it has a little bit more options here. So what is this all about? First of all, you'll notice this thing has a huge claw, wing, whatever you want to call it, which helps pull that in real tight to your body. This is made by a company called Works Holsters. They're pretty well known. If you don't know them, check them out. You know, they're pretty decent holsters. Now, the reason this one is a little bit different is because, well, for something like my Glock here, clear, empty, no mag, I'm running a threaded barrel, and I have a light, and I have an optic. So this is optics cut, and it offers retention based on the light and not so much the pistol itself. Now, it is obviously cut for certain pistols, but your light also has a lot to do with the retention. So when you choose this holster, you also have to choose what type of light you're running, because a lot of the retention is based on that as well as the handgun. Now, something like this with Works, if you have, say, a Glock 43X or a Glock 48, it's cut for both. So the 43X is just a little bit shorter than a 48. And if you decided to run a comp on here, this holster would actually fit that. So you can see right there that the threaded barrel is still well within inside the holster with the, you know, thread protector on there. So if I ran a comp, obviously that's going to be threaded onto here, sit flush, and it's going to probably be about even with my light, maybe a little bit past my light, but this holster will still work because it's cut in such a way where it allows that space for it to come through. So those are just all different options based on your needs. Again, this is full Kydex, so I have, if you can tell, I prefer my Kydex over anything else because I like to keep my appendages, because I do carry with one in the chamber, and when you carry with one in the chamber, you want as much positive coverage as you can have, so that way nothing were to happen. Especially if you're appendix carrying, if you're a dude, you don't want something pointed at the jewels that is gonna go off. And if you keep your booger picker off the bang switch, you'll be good, because there's no way anything can get to your trigger. All right, concealment continued. So this, I wouldn't say applies to many males. However, if it does, cool, no shame. This is mainly geared towards women, where you have a leg holster. Now, these are kind of popular if you're wearing a skirt, a dress, and you don't want to have it around your waist because maybe your dress is a little bit more form-fitting on the waist, but then it opens up and flows more at the bottom. This is a popular option. It just clips here. You have different retention levels, and then your holster would just slide in, or your weapon would just slide in here. Let's see if I can demonstrate that a little bit. So your weapon would slide in here and just kind of hang out. And there's also one on the other side, just depending on how you decide to carry it that day is going to dictate. Now, this isn't really for this type of gun. I just tried to show you guys a little bit, but there's that. And then it's got little pockets. You could store extra mags, stuff like that. It's just another option out there for the ladies. Now, something that is a little bit more universal, I know dudes who carry like this and females that carry like this, and this is a belly band holster. So this just literally, like it's called, it's like a soft neoprene type material. You wrap it around your waist, and you want these to be a little tighter because obviously as you start to sweat and stuff or bend down, move, jump, whatever, it might loosen up. So you want to have it a little snug. And it's got little pockets, so extra mags, lighter, pen, whatever you carry. And then, you know, they move depending on what you need, where you want to put them. This stuff moves around. And then right here is where your handgun would go. And you would stuff it in there, and then this strap is what gives you your retention. So this would go around the backside of your freaking your handgun and help secure it into place. And then you could stick a wallet, extra mags, ID card, whatever you need to stick there, and then you could be hands-free. Situations where you would wear this, I don't know, same thing. Maybe you're going to the gym, you're working out, you're outside doing chores around the yard, and you know, bending and moving with a hard piece of Kydex in your waist might be a little bit uncomfortable. However, something like this gives you a little bit more flexibility. Whatever the option is, I don't know. It's just another tool for you to have. All right, and I think that about covers most of the concealed carry holsters. Are there more options out there? Absolutely. Do I have them here to show you today? I do not, but just do your research. And just because you buy one based on somebody's recommendation, like take this Border Town holster, Border Town Holsters holster, for example. Someone could recommend this all day. I can say, hey, check out Border Town Holsters on Facebook, Instagram, hit them up. They can make whatever you want. They're the greatest thing ever. It works great for me. And that might be true. They may be completely honest in saying that opinion. However, at the end of the day, that's just an opinion. You could get it and be like, this is the most uncomfortable thing I've ever worn. I don't like it. Who knows? You're going to have to spend money, and you're going to have to figure it out for you. So if someone says, hey, get a tier 1 holster, and you hate tier 1 holsters, that doesn't mean it's a bad holster or a bad company. It just didn't work for you, and that's okay. That's fine. So you may spend a few $100s figuring out what works for you. So, you know, just do as much research as you can. See as many differing opinions as you can, and at the end of the day, you're just gonna have to try it and see how it works for you. Ideally, you have friends who carry, and maybe they have the same type of weapon system, and you can try theirs out for a day or so before you commit, or you might just have to pay $120 and see if you like it, and if not, I don't know, sell it on eBay or Amazon or something and try to get some money back and try another holster, or just collect a bunch of them and see what works for you what day. I don't know. Many options out there. All right, continuing on. Open carry holsters. Now, open carry holsters, there's also a few options with them. So open carry holsters, they can be on the belt, just your regular plain Jane belt. They can be a paddle holster where it sandwiches either in between your pants and your belt, or just goes back behind your belt into your waistband, and the outside of the holster sticks out. There's shoulder holsters, there's Western style holster, there's duty holsters. These are all examples of outside the waistband. So let's check these out. So first we'll go with our leather holster. Now this is for my Ruger Wrangler 22 revolver. And so this, unlike this is a very cheap leather, for my inside the waistband. This is actually a very stiff, genuine leather. So this was actually pretty expensive. Got my initials in there. That's pretty cool, right? And it also offers secondary retention with this strap here. So most holsters, level 1, are friction. And then level 2 is some sort of added, you know, level of security. a lot of times that's a strap, which this has right here. So this is a belt holster. So you'll slide your belt right through here. She'll sit strong side because, well, my strong side is my right, so it'll sit on my right side, and it offers that that positive retention. So here's my Ruger Wrangler 22. This cylinder doesn't pop open, so I'm just gonna rotate this for you. It is clear, nothing in the chamber, and we are gonna throw it in there. So that's not going anywhere. It's nice and secure, and what this strap will do is go behind the hammer here, snap into place, and that's your holster. And this one, I have no concerns with this leather curling or moving around. This is a very stiff leather. You hear that? Like, this thing is super stiff. It will soften with time. I'll admit I don't carry it a lot. Sometimes when I'm just walking through the woods, I'll carry it with me just for fun, planking at some stuff. But it'll break in a little bit, but it's not gonna ever get so soft where I'm worrying about this curling. And since this is a revolver, I don't carry it with the hammer cocked. So either way, I'm gonna be okay with this specific holster for my specific needs. All right, next, your paddle holsters. So these, again, can go behind the belt or completely behind your, inside your pants, and they'll keep that retention because this part right here is against your body. Now these particular ones, so there are ones that just are what they are. They don't have any kind of secondary retention. They're just based on friction, which is fine. These happen to have level 2 retention, which is this trigger lock right here. So once you press it in, Taurus again, clear, no mag. So once you throw it in, it locks into that, that trigger well into place, and you can't remove it unless you press with your finger to release it from the holster. Otherwise, it's just in there, which I think is important when you're open carrying. I'm not an advocate of open carrying unless you're at the range, going through the woods, hunting, something like that. I don't recommend carrying out in town, open carrying, just advertising that you have a firearm on you. For me, I don't know, it just seems kind of douchey. I'm not trying to offend anybody. If you open carry, by all means, I'd rather you exercise your rights than not exercise your rights. I just don't think you should advertise that you have a firearm, because in the bad guy's eyes, you're a threat, and he knows instantly to try to take you out before you take him out. And then if you're shopping, you're not paying attention, you get distracted. I don't know. I just not an advocate of it, but if you are going to do it, I do recommend some sort of secondary retention. That way, you know, somebody might come up and try to yank this, and it's pretty hard. I mean, I'm not saying you can't do it, but it's gonna require some force, because it has this secondary retention here. If it didn't have that, this would just slide right out just like it would any other holster. So there's that. So just something to consider. So those are paddle holsters with secondary retention outside the waistband. Another type of outside the waistband is something like this. This is for my Glock. This is by Works. It's also a belt holster. However, this is set up for a duty belt, and this will just clamp over that duty belt, locks it into place, and it's not going anywhere. Again, you can see the belt would go right through there. It clamps into place, and then this would be mounted to a duty belt, and boom. This doesn't have any kind of secondary retention. It's just friction. So this would be something that I would use, which I do, is just for the range. I'm not worrying about people at the range coming up and trying to yank my pistol off me. Whereas something like this, if I was, I don't know, going to Walmart or just going around town, I would have more of a concern, because this isn't a range holster to me. This is just something that I would carry outside the waistband, walking through the woods, or maybe at the range, but just as a side carry piece, not something I was actually actively training with. So again, this would be based on your pistol as well as your light choice. Those both play a part into, you know, the shape of this holster. Another belt holster. So this one, you would route your belt through it before you put it through all through all the loops of your pants, and it would just sit there. You see how it's kind of curved? That contour right there sits against your body. Again, this is just a friction style holster. Bordertown Holsters made this, by the way, with the channel logo. So if you want something custom, they can make it for you. But yeah, no secondary retention, just straight friction, and that's it. Again, this is something that I would carry to the range as just a sidearm, not actively training with it. Then lastly, you have something like this Safariland knockoff. So yes, it's a knockoff. It's not a real Safariland. Sorry to disappoint. So this is a mid-drop setup. So again, you would run your, so this is set up for a duty belt, which is why these openings here are rather large. So you run your duty belt through this, and then let me just go ahead and should have did this ahead of time, but no bigs. So it has the QLS system. So this is a mid drop. High would be, you know, right here. So this whole piece would be a little higher, right where your belt meets your, you know, your waistline. Mid is a little bit lower, and then a drop holster, a low ride would be a little bit lower than that, which I don't really, not a fan of because it bounces around too much and gets on my nerves. So the QLS system will just mount to your holster. So I'm just gonna say it's a Safariland. Just know it's not, so don't try to call me out and be like, that's fake. Yes, I've already established that. Okay, so that locks into place. It's not going anywhere. Nobody can take your holster off of you. And then this one has locking retention here. So when you slide your firearm into place, this clicks and locks, and it can't be released until you go to draw, and with your thumb, you press down and pull out. And it seems like it would be a lot, but it's actually very, very quick. So this is pretty much an exact replica of a Safariland. The only thing this doesn't share is the ability to add that retention hood, which is just one more level of retention. So this would, I guess, technically just be level 2, whereas if you had that hood, it would be level 3 retention. But I don't have that hood, and I don't think the Safariland one is capable with this holster. I got this for my PSA dagger, so I wasn't looking to spend a bunch of money on a Safariland because the PSA dagger is a very budget pistol, so I'm trying to look for budget gear that supports it. And that pretty much wraps up the concealed carry versus open carry type of holsters, and we kind of talked a little bit about leather, its pros and cons. Pro, it's beautiful, they look really good, they can be more flexible, which obviously equals comfort, and as it is more flexible, it can get a little smaller, which can aid in the level of concealability. Whereas Kydex is going to be a little thicker, it's going to be a little bit more rigid, it's a little harder to conceal with them. However, they have these tools that help mitigate it as much as possible, and many people carry, and I am a fan of Kydex. I will always recommend Kydex to any new carrier or people who are just looking to switch from leather or hybrid. I will always recommend a good Kydex holster. All right, so we've discussed leather, Kydex, hybrids, which are a mix of the two. So retention methods, we pretty much hit on it. So there's friction, which something like this, it just slides in. The shape of the weapon system in the holster is what makes it stay. And you can tighten or loosen these screws, which will aid in the amount of friction that's placed upon it when you're pulling it in and out. So that is level 1. And so there's different retention methods. You can have trigger locks. You can have locking systems that lock the entire firearm in place. And you can have straps. Those are all examples of level 2. Level 3 would be, like I said, on the Safariland, there's the ability to add a hood. There's just 3 levels of retention on your firearm. So friction, lock, hood, level 3, because there's 3 levels of retention there. So that's that. Level 4, that's 3 levels of protection plus another. So if, say, something like this were to have this, the friction, the hood, and say a strap, like that's level 4. Some Leo agencies require level 3, level 4 for their duty belts. It just kind of depends on your situation, what you're looking for. To me, level 2 is kind of a minimum when you're open carrying anywhere that you're just planning on carrying a lot. Something like this is like a battle setup, so I don't want the enemy coming up behind me and taking my stuff out. So if stuff ever hit the fan and I just happen to throw this on, level 2 is my minimum. Level 3 would be ideal, but you know, it is what it is. Again, these are level 2, so I wouldn't rock something like this if I was going to the store or, you know, fighting the Russians who invaded Iowa. I don't know. That wouldn't be my first choice. And then again, options like these, more geared towards the ladies. However, men also rock the belly band holsters, and I'm not going to knock them if it works for you and you're carrying and exercising your rights. I'm all about it. So, ladies and gentlemen, lastly, just know that there's many options out there. You're going to need options. You're going to need many different styles of holster to fit your needs based on that day, what you're carrying, what you're wearing, what your activities are. A lot of thought goes into this process. And if you're just throwing stuff around all willy-nilly, not really thinking about it, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to get hurt. You're not going to be carrying correctly. And when your life comes down to it, or you're trying to train to a certain level, a certain expectation, you're gonna fall short, and you don't want that. All right, guys, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Comment down below what your favorite types of holsters are, if you prefer leather, Kydex, hybrid, and just know that there's no such thing as a best holster. When you get on forums, Facebook pages, other YouTube channels, and you're like, what's the best holster? Everybody who gives you an answer is basing it on the product that they bought because they just fell in love with it. This holster's the best. No, this one is because I bought it with my hard-earned money and I wouldn't buy it if it sucked. And at the end of the day, you just have to realize that's an opinion. That's their opinion based on their needs and how they carry and what they wear, what their activities are, a multitude of things. So take it with a grain of salt. Take it for what it's worth. Take the recommendation. I'm not saying discount what they have to say, but don't just buy into it. Like, I have to buy T-Rex, I have to buy Tier 1, I have to buy Border Town holsters, I have to buy Works because XYZ said so. You could get it and it could suck for you. You could get it and it would just be the most uncomfortable thing you've ever worn. You could get it and it could be great. Just don't get so invested and so don't get tunnel vision and be like, that's what I have to have because that's the latest gimmick that I see all over Instagram. Be prepared to buy 2 or 3 holsters before you figure out what works for you. And, you know, hopefully the companies have a good, you know, most of them, if they're worth their weight, they have a return policy. Like, hey, if you're not satisfied, just send it back. And you might have to pay a restocking fee or something crazy. If you order something custom, they might deduct a certain amount, but at least you're not, you know, out everything you spent on it. So just look into that also. Like, can I return this thing if I absolutely hate it? Is there a trial period where like I can wear it for 30 days and if it ain't it, I can at least get some of my money back to invest in another holster that I'm actually going to wear. Because at the end of the day, if it's not comfortable and it's not working for you, you're not going to carry. You're going to find reasons to be like, I don't need it. I'm good. Like, it's just a quick trip to Walmart. I'll be fine. You know how many shootings there are at Walmarts across the nation, like in a week? It's crazy. So just the time you least expect it and you don't have it is when you're gonna kick yourself in the butt because either something's gonna happen to you, a loved one, or someone to your left and right that you maybe could have prevented, stopped, or just felt a little bit more comfortable. I know when I carry, I feel more comfortable. I hope to never have to use it at all, but just knowing that it's there just makes me feel at ease. It feels at peace. If something were to happen, I can defend me and my family, or another loved one, or just someone innocent, a mother and child who are just trying to get some groceries and there's a guy being an asshole. I don't know, man. People do weird things and it's a crazy world and I don't think it's getting any better anytime soon. So take that for what it's worth, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, like, do all that cool stuff. And more importantly, let me know down in the comments what you thought about today's video and what your best holster ideas are. But there's really no such thing as a best holster, is there? Not really, just what's best for you. All right, guys, have a good one.